Good morning, everyone. I'm Emily Jashinsky, host of After Party, filling in today for Megyn Kelly. It's Monday, September 8th, 2025, and this is your AM update.
President of the United States essentially just declared war on a major city in his own nation.
President Trump posts a meme and the left melts down as crime and illegal immigration in major U.S. cities take center stage again this week.
Well, he's a different kind of a guy. He's got a lot of ideas, and so do I.
President Trump stands by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. after a fiery hearing on Capitol Hill, and CBS announces a change in policy after DHS Secretary Kristi Noem accuses the network of deceptive editing and brings the receipts. All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM update.
I've been talking a lot about Riverbend Ranch lately because I love their steaks. Riverbend Ranch has taken Black Angus beef to a whole new level. For the last 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been creating a very elite Angus herd by using ultrasound to select genetically superior cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness. When you purchase from Riverbend Ranch, you're not only supporting the 64 cowboys and cowgirls and their families who work on the ranch, but you're also supporting over 260 other U.S. ranches and the hundreds of American families who work on them. It is born in the USA, raised in the USA, and processed in the USA. It is beef aged to perfection for 21 days and shipped directly from the ranch to your home. This is not your average Black Angus beef, so order from riverbendranch.com. Use the promo code Megyn for 20%, $20, I should say, off your first order, and let me know what you think. riverbendranch.com, promo code Megyn.
Democrats melting down over a meme shared by President Trump over the weekend. On Saturday, the president posting what appeared to be an AI image of himself styled as Robert Duvall's character from the classic movie Apocalypse Now, standing in front of a flaming Chicago skyline with the caption, "Chipocalypse Now." President Trump adding his own caption, quote, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." On Friday, the president signing an executive order renaming the Department of Defense the Department of War. Border Czar Tom Homan Sunday on CNN saying the feds are planning to ramp up immigration enforcement this week.
Should we expect action in Chicago this week?
Absolutely. You can expect action in most sanctuary cities across the country.
The New York Times obtaining an internal DHS memo indicating federal officials are planning a 30-day surge in Chicago. The meme posted as President Trump publicly feuds with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker as he intensifies the apparent pressure campaign to push the governor into requesting National Guard assistance in Chicago over the issue of violent crime. State governors can request help from the National Guard amid civil unrest or major emergencies. Without an invitation, the National Guard can't partake in domestic law enforcement operations, a federal judge ruled last week in a case about Trump's deployment to Los Angeles over Governor Gavin Newsom's objections. Governor Pritzker responding to Mr. Trump on X, quote, "The President of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. Donald Trump isn't a strong man. He's a scared man. Illinois won't be intimidated by a wannabe dictator." U.S. Senator from Illinois, Democrat Tammy Duckworth, Sunday on CBS.
Let's make it clear. The President of the United States essentially just declared war on a major city in his own nation. This is not normal, Margaret. This is not acceptable behavior.
NBC White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor on Sunday asking President Trump if the U.S. is going to war with Chicago. Mr. Trump's response.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second grade. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
For the last 13 years, Chicago holds the record for the most homicides per year of any U.S. city, with 573 people murdered in 2024. According to the Chicago Tribune, 278 killed so far this year, a decrease from this time last year, but still a shockingly high number. As of Sunday afternoon, a local CBS station reporting 5 dead and 10 wounded in weekend shootings across the Windy City. On Friday, Vice President J.D. Vance telling reporters there are no immediate plans to deploy the National Guard to Chicago.
There are no immediate plans, but the president has said he has the legal authority to protect American citizens, whether that's in Chicago or Washington, D.C. Obviously, as the president has said, we want the governor to be a partner here. We would love it, Democrat or Republican, if we had governors who were willing to actually be partners in cutting down crime in our country. Unfortunately, it looks like that's not what we have in J.B. Pritzker.
A U.S. official confirming to ABC in August that the Pentagon is drawing up plans for a deployment. Any action without state permission is likely to face a swift legal challenge. HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. facing mounting calls to resign following a fiery hearing before the Senate Finance Committee late last week on Capitol Hill. Some highlights here.
The mRNA technology is about continuing the research to be ready.
I'm happy to have a detailed discussion with you about it. You're so wrong on your facts.
You're interrupting me. And, sir, you're a charlatan.
You have had this job for 8 months, and you don't know the data about whether the vaccine saved lives? That's the problem, is that they didn't have the data. I never promised that I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
RFKJ ruffling feathers, including some in the GOP, with changes regarding vaccines. In June, RFKJ dismissing the entire Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the group that develops and sets vaccine guidance for the nation. In August, announcing an end to $500 million in funding for mRNA vaccine research, Kennedy also ending the emergency use authorization for COVID boosters, meaning they are no longer authorized for mass use, and recently firing the head of the CDC after just about 1 month on the job over a vaccine policy dispute. Every Democrat on the Finance Committee calling on Kennedy to resign. While some Republicans were openly critical, so far none have asked the secretary to step down. Democrat Senator from New Jersey Cory Booker, not on that committee, Sunday on NBC, echoing those calls and saying even more cabinet officials should be resigning.
As you know, a number of Democrats have called for him to resign. Do you, Senator, think that Secretary Kennedy should resign?
Now, I'm one of these big believers that when I see Justice Department officials and State Department officials and many other people resigning because the President of the United States is doing things that are immoral and dangerous, I believe, frankly, that all of his cabinet should be taking a moral position, especially those that are parts of agencies like Health and Human Services or the Justice Department. When you have a president that is acting in the way that he should, that all of them should be stepping down.
So you're saying, yes, he should step down?
Yes.
RFKJ joining Fox News on Sunday, defending his work.
They don't want to hear the answers to the questions that they ask me. They want to make a little speech and then shut me down. The CDC is a broken agency. We did worse in COVID than any country in the world. We have 4.2% of the world's population. We have 20% of the world's COVID deaths. We literally we're the worst team in the league. I've been brought in as a new manager, and my job is to shake up the organization, to fire the people who were responsible. We literally did worse than any country in the world, and it was because we forgot about the science. And what we're going to do, what the Trump administration is going to do, is to return gold standard science and make this agency the lead agency for public health in the world once again.
President Trump, who recently expressed support for some vaccines, Sunday, from the White House, backing RFKJ.
Well, he's a different kind of a guy. He's got a lot of good ideas, but he's got a lot of ideas. Normally they don't have any ideas, and that's why we have problems with autism and so many other things, because we're coming up with the answers for autism. You watch. We're coming up with the answers for other things that normal people, regular people, easy to get along with people wouldn't be able to do. He's got a lot of ideas, and so do I, and we're going to clean it up.
Coming up, after DHS Secretary Kristi Noem accuses CBS News of deceptive editing, the network announces a major change in its editorial policy. And where in the world is the DOJ planning to send so-called Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia?
You know those movies that tell the stories of real-life heroes with the courage to stand up in the face of indescribable evil and hatred to protect and save others? They're important, especially now when the world seems to need heroes more than ever. Bao Artist at War is a film about how art and love can save lives, literally and spiritually. It's the remarkable true story of Joseph Bao, a gifted artist and master forger who risked his life to save others during the Holocaust. There, he not only found the strength to survive, but also an unexpected love with Rebecca, a woman whose courage matched his own. Their secret wedding, held inside a concentration camp, was later immortalized in the film Schindler's List. Bao, Artist at War, opens only in theaters for a limited run beginning September 26th. Go to baomovie.com, BAU movie.com, to watch the trailer, read about Joseph's real-life journey, and find showtimes near you. Visit BAU movie.com to watch the trailer and learn more, and you can also sign your organization up for group screenings. Again, that's BAUmovie.com.
CBS News announcing a major editorial policy change after DHS Secretary Kristi Noem accuses the network of deceptively editing her interview last week. DHS releasing a statement saying nearly 4 minutes of the 16-minute and 20-second interview were cut, most significantly an answer regarding the fate of so-called Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who is actually, of course, a Salvadoran national credibly accused of MS-13 membership and various crimes. Abrego Garcia is currently held in an ICE detention facility in Farmville, Virginia, as he awaits trial on human trafficking charges in Tennessee after being returned to the U.S. in June. In a separate effort, the Trump administration is battling with the courts to deport Abrego Garcia to a country other than El Salvador in compliance with a court order. More on that in a moment. On CBS last week, guest host Ed O'Keefe pressing Secretary Noem. Shouldn't Abrego Garcia face trial on his charges before being deported again? The network ending the secretary's answer here.
And the one thing that we will continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America.
Secretary Noem later posting the rest of her answer to X, which included the following.
This individual was a known human smuggler, a MS-13 gang member, an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors. And even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America, and our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can to bring him to justice.
Initially, CBS defending the move in a statement to The Hill, quote, "The interview was edited for time and met all CBS News standards. The entire interview is publicly available on YouTube, and the full transcript was posted early Sunday morning at cbsnews.com. 5 days later, the network releasing a new statement in response to, quote, audience feedback. Quote, Face the Nation will now only broadcast live or live-to-tape interviews subject to national security or legal restrictions. This extra measure means the television audience will see the full unedited interview on CBS, and we will continue our practice of posting full transcripts and the unedited video online," end quote. The change comes just months after CBS parent company Paramount paid $16 million to settle a lawsuit with President Trump over a 60 Minutes interview he says was deceptively edited to favor then Vice President Harris ahead of the 2024 election. And it also comes just weeks after new owners took over Paramount and signaled changes to the direction of the legacy news network. In 2019, Abrego Garcia receiving a withholding of removal order, barring his deportation to El Salvador on the grounds that he faced a credible threat of harm if he returned home. Now that Abrego Garcia is back on American soil, still under final order of removal, the feds are seeking to deport him to a third country where there is no credible fear of persecution or torture. On Friday, Fox News obtaining a letter sent to Abrego Garcia's lawyers from ICE reading as follows, quote, "Currently, you are designated to be removed to Uganda. Your attorney has informed us, however, that you fear persecution or torture in Uganda. That claim of fear is hard to take seriously, especially given that you have claimed, through your attorneys, that you fear persecution or torture in at least 22 different countries. We hereby notify you that your new country of removal is Eswatini, Africa. Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, is a landlocked country in southern Africa. It gained independence from the British in 1968 and is ruled by an absolute monarchy. So good luck to him." Amid all of this, Abrego Garcia is reapplying for asylum in the U.S. Maryland Judge Paula Zinnes, overseeing that case, has ordered the government cannot remove him before a hearing set for October 6th. That'll do it for your AM update. I'm Emily Jashinsky, host of After Party. Megyn is back tomorrow. Catch the Megyn Kelly Show today, live on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.